Hey, what to do, y'all? What to do? What to do? So, oftentimes in this life, you got this journey. I mean, even if you're not really where you need to be as far as your way of thinking and state of mind, one day you'll realize that you'll look back and you'll see that there's a timeline. You'll have memories. You'll have things you've done and places you've been and people you've known. All that represents a journey. Little does one know. Now, amongst wildlife, this comes in two ways. The animals that were domesticated and the animals that were non domesticated, meaning the wild animals. So, in regards to interactions, two things can occur. Um, the animal that was domesticated could just shy away from all interactions or just be very cruel. And this could be due to this animal experiencing cruelty. It's been hurt. So it just lashes out at everybody until someone actually shows them love and they know that it's love, and that is rare for a lot of animals that have been hurt to really accept love once they have experienced hurt. A wild animal can sense cruelty, detect it, and shy away because that's just the behavior of a wild animal in the first place. While at the same time, a wild animal can know how to be friendly if they can detect that there's no cruelty there. Um, More adolescent wild animals usually aren't as thoughtful and as careful and can sometimes run into people and other animals that could give it harm, right? Wild animals could sometimes suffer the idea of being domesticated themselves to a certain extent, given if they have interactions with people long enough that have tried to befriend them. Now, obviously, this is an advantage if people and other animals have good intentions, right? And that way, this animal can, in theory, still remain wild, but yet just a friendly type of a wild animal. So, where I'm at with this is that when people throw these labels on you, like, oh, you're just hurt. You've been hurt. That's why you are the way you are. Not everybody has this mind frame based on the fact that they were hurt. Some people just have a certain mind frame just based on them being wild, more of a wild state of mind, not a feral state of mind. See, feral can derive from a history of being hurt, abandoned, outcasted, right? But sometimes wild can come from the standpoint of one never fitted in the first place, even though they've tried. But that doesn't necessarily mean they were hurt, abandoned, or outcasted. So um, you just develop this wolf-like mindset of knowing how to detect the friendlies from the unfriendlies, you know. So I think just there's just a new type of canon that needs to come into play. Not everybody is hurt. Some people are just wild. Yours truly is wild. Some people are just wild. Some people just act a certain way just to live a certain way based on the hurt, though, obviously. And some people are a certain way. Have those that have been wild been hurt in a while? Yeah, it's like a wild animal. And usually that could be just due to that wild lifestyle or just the fact that some domesticated things from civilization came into the wildlife, right? Like traps, different cities and towns, different barriers and obstacles that wild animal has never encountered before, but it has to kind of detect and get used to it and maybe adopt it. If not, it'll stay away from it. It wouldn't adapt, it will adopt that situation a certain wild animal would, right? Whereas a stray or an animal that was hurt per se would learn how to adapt to another environment besides the environment that it came from. So Yes, that's the mindset of an animal that is wild. Its environment is based on its wildlife, not its civilization, whereas an animal that's feral has the mindset of its environment being based on the civilization, but maybe it wants to step away from that civilization. Maybe it still lives amongst that civilization, but doesn't really try to attend itself to that civilization. A wild animal is the total opposite. It is pretty much in and out of its own wildlife. And every now and then you may see it be on the outskirts of certain civilizations, and it adopts certain parts of their civilization to its advantage uh, of its wildlife per se. You know, if it's similar to the way its wildlife currently is, the way it can camouflage and things like that naturally. And this is all based on being wild and not hurt, because see, a wild animal has that natural advantage of camouflage. You know, has that natural advantage of hiding in the crowd per se, even if that's in the crowd of civilization. Whereas an animal that's been feral or it's been hurt is a type of animal that hides more in the shadows, right? Hides more in the shadows than using its own natural ability to camouflage, because it doesn't necessarily have that natural ability to camouflage. So this lets me think about people who have to still stay in the shadows. They don't have a natural capability to be enigmatic, to be a certain way, to kind of stand out. Yet it was never trying to be on the outs, if you will. It just wanted to blend in beautifully. And so you have people who try to come up with a lot of different ways to cope with their lack of natural capabilities of doing this. And whereas an enigmatic individual knows how to naturally be a certain way as far as um, this shy nature, but yet not based on being hurt. It's just based on being wild. Hopefully this makes sense to someone. Yes, someone that's enigmatic is wild and not hurt, like someone that became domesticated or have been born that way, because that's pretty much who they are. And now they got to hide in the shadows after being hurt. Signing out.